is the first time this bike has ever had working back brakes.
Hey, what's up, you guys? Can you believe it? I've had this bike for 20 years and just got the back brakes working last year. I just wanted to give you guys a little update about this bike. It's kind of important this time of year as we move into the winter weather. I like to ride this bike a lot, sort of October to May time frame. I call it my rain bike, but it's the only road bike I have that has fenders on it. And I got it, I think in 2003 or so. I got it on eBay for like 145 bucks. I actually had my mom pay for it. I was too busy trying to keep up with the fucking cable bill and shit at the time. It is a Schwinn World Sport, and it's a 25-inch size, so 63.5 centimeters. And it's funny, it's kind of a beater. I bought it as a cheap used beater, and I've always treated it that way. But the funny thing is, now that I have this huge long-term relationship with it, this bike actually kicks ass. And it's funny because when I started, when I went to day shift at my old job, I sort of had this last hurrah as a bike commuter, where I just could not figure out how to make bike commuting part of my life anymore. And I ended up riding this thing to work. I was riding 3 days a week to work. It was about 26 miles each way. And the funny thing was, this bike, the old beater that's too small for me, I was the fastest by 5 or 6 minutes, sometimes in the morning, I think even 10 minutes, versus the bike that actually I would say fits me technically better, the 27-inch Schwinn Traveler. But obviously now it's clear to me that the Traveler is too big. And so here's this bike that I just sort of thought of as sort of what I was stuck in when I was poor, sort of when someone has an old Honda Civic as a first car. This was sort of my first road bike. And I always kind of wanted to get a better one. And it's so funny that I have all these bikes now, and I'm still fastest on this thing. And so I'm kind of leaning into that, because if you think about it, I get to have this romance with this bike half the year, every year. And I'm about to fall in love with it again. So I'm grabbing, this is actually footage from last October, as I'm speaking to you in October of 2024. And I'm about to start falling in love with this bike again. So yeah, last year, I pulled the rear fender and rack off of it, because there was something going on with the back brake, and I just couldn't figure it out. And it turns out, when you get the thing, I took the back brake off, I took the fender off and the rack off, so the back of the bike was naked. And I just sat here and looked at it. And what I realized is the fucking back wheel is crooked on the frame. The frame is bent or something. Maybe the fork ends or something are bent. And so that's why the brake was impossible to figure out. But since I realized that, though, if I don't put the fender back on, I'm actually able to make it work. And so I fucked around with the brake pads and stuff, and I got it to where it actually works pretty good. And so this video, the footage I just started showing at the beginning of the video, was the first time in 20 years that this bike has ever had working back brakes. It's funny because I know the front fork is bent too. This thing has a real bad speed shimmy. But even with the bent frame, it's still the fastest bike I own. And it's like a Miata. If you think about the Schwinn Traveler as being a Corvette, which is obviously going to be a longer wheelbase and more horsepower, this is like the little twitchy Miata. And so I love it, and so I rode it around this bike ride on the old tires with just the rear brakes fixed. And that was a successful test, except it was a nice day. And so I wanted to find a time to test it out when the roads were slick. This thing had basically racing slicks on it. There was some specialized tire that had a complete bald patch right in the middle, by design, so you could go faster. And apparently at some point in my youth, I thought I was some speed demon. And so I took those off and put some Schwalbe Marathons with a reflective strip on the side. And they're kind of a touring tire where they're really tall for the size. I think they say 1.25 inches or something, but they're basically 1.75 inch tires. And that isn't in this clip. Anyways, the moral of the story is I wanted to test out these racing slick tires on the wet because I was getting ready to ride this thing all winter last year. And in this next clip here where I'm wearing the jacket, I take it to Kopachuk State Park, and there's this abandoned campground there. There's some fungus attacking the trees, and these genius rangers just decided that means no one can camp there anymore, even though, like, less than one tree falls in the entire area each winter, and you don't have a lot of people camping in the winter. So I don't know what the fuck they're thinking. I really think they're idiots is the answer. But anyways, the campground's closed, and so it's fun to ride through there sometimes because you have the whole place to yourself. And you kind of feel like a kid or something. So I'm riding through on this paved road, and all of a sudden I cannot get up a hill because my back tire is just spinning out. You know, like if you're doing cross-country mountain biking, you're trying to go up a steep hill, and you're not, like, evening out your pedal strokes, that kind of spinning.
Ooh. Wow. Oh, shit, dude. I stood up. Up this hill and the back tire burned out. Holy hell.
And I was like, what the fuck? This is retarded. This is supposed to be my winter bike, and I can't even get up this fucking hill. So that's when I ordered the Schwalbe Marathon tires.
Oh boy, slipping.
But it's funny. So in this clip here, I'm at the top of this campground loop, and I go to do a little like loop-de-loop so I can take a picture of this campsite that's just particularly well lit at the time, just to kind of grab a picture, you know, for the gram or whatever. And the front, I'm kind of thinking to myself, like, if I think about the properties of this substrate I'm riding on, it kind of resembles ice. And when you're riding on snow or ice with a bike, the front wheel, like, will just slide out, and you don't have any time to react to that. Like, when the front wheel slides out on ice, there's a joke, I think, on sheldonbrown.com. It's like you realize you're riding on ice when your face is laying on the ice. And so I'm like, this road surface is behaving like ice. So when I go to turn around, I'm going to put my left foot out. And that way, in case the tire is sure as shit, dude, that front tire slid out. And if I didn't have my foot out, I probably would have eaten shit just doing it.
It's not freezing. It's literally like ice, though.
So these tires were clearly not good enough. So that's why I put the Schwalbes on there. And I don't think I videoed the first test ride with the Schwalbes at all. I just sort of, one of those things where I just had to get out the door, you know. I kind of always relate that to going to the gym, where you just got to grab your shit and go out the door and get to the gym. You know, putting on the GoPro rig, putting on a backpack, these were all just things that were stopping me. And so I just filled the water bottle, put it in the cage, and went out the door. And those tires ended up, I went back to the same campground loop, and they were fine. So the Schwalbe tires kick ass. I rode all last winter on them. I never put the back fender back on. What I did instead was I have a mountain bike fender, just from a 26-inch mountain bike. And this is the shockboard, something, just clip-on fenders. And that actually works pretty good because I'm not commuting on this. Like, I'm going to ride it. But really, it's for fair weather winter riding where, like, you finally get a break in the clouds, like we're watching this video right now, and you head out the door, and there's probably going to be water on the road still and stuff like that. So I don't necessarily need a full rear fender, but just the mountain bike fender actually is good enough to keep water from going up my ass. And also this bike, since it has rear brakes, the frame won't fill up with water. My single speed, the mountain bike fender, isn't good enough because the frame still fills up with water and shit. So yeah, so I like that mountain bike fender. It's plenty fine for me. It's really for getting caught in the rain or riding after it's done raining. So it's not like I'm going to be on the way to work in a pouring down rainstorm and you got to go because you got to go to work. So I'm kind of chill on that now. The front fender's still fine. I did used to commute for years on this thing in the rain to Home Depot and back. And the front fender was always pretty good for that. So yeah, it kicks ass. I'll probably do a whole video about I think I have 10 bikes right now, but this bike deserves its own video because I've had it for so long and because the important role it's played sort of throughout my career as a cyclist and getting me to different jobs and stuff. I've got thousands and thousands of miles on it, but it's funny because it's not the one I usually pick on a nice day, but I've enjoyed leaning into this winter weather riding with it, and I'm going to get back into that now. So yeah, this video is just sort of acting as a catch-all, putting some clips in of this bike, action shots from last year, from 2023, 2024 winter. And pretty soon you'll be seeing some new videos of me on this bike as I go into the 2024, 2025 winter. I'm pretty excited about that. Every morning when I wake up, I'm thinking about this bike. I also want to get out and thrash around on a single speed a little bit before the season's over. We've got some unseasonable weather right now. Fortunately, I'm kind of stuck working on cars and working on the YouTube stuff. But I do want to get out there on the single speed before it starts raining. And it's funny, I've been spending too much time on the Poseidon Redwood ever since I got back from my trips. You know, it's still got air in the tires, and I can just grab it and go. I don't have to do anything. It's got all the tools and the spare tires and the pump and everything already on the bike. So I just have to grab a bottle of water and I'm good to go. So I've kind of been spoiled by that, I think. But it's definitely, you know, the Redwood's not going to get fenders, actually. So it's going to be sidelined in the winter for the most part, unless I'm going to do like a touring trip or something. I'll be on this rain bike of mine, and I'm pretty excited about it. So, all right, you guys, hope you enjoyed the update about this bike. 20 years, can you believe it? And look for a video about all my bikes coming in the future. And until then, I'll see you guys later. Peace.